All right, and we are live. Hey everyone, welcome to our first ever Google Hangout for GISinc. My name is Rachel Ankerson. I am the marketing coordinator for GISinc, working specifically with our wonderful federal government team. I have been with the company doing marketing for 3 years now. Absolutely love it here and love the people that I work with. And I thought I would take a minute to let everyone kind of introduce themselves before we roll into our topics. So whoever wants to go first. Jennifer, I think you were.
My name's Jennifer McCullough. I've been with the company for almost 5 years now. I'm a project manager. I work on site at Norfolk, Naval Station Norfolk. I work for the Mid-Atlantic region, and I'm the planning GIS program manager there.
Awesome.
Hi, my name's Paula Comstorm. I'm a solutions engineer. I've been with the company for over 5 years. I started out with the federal. Now I'm in state and local.
My name is Eric Ribbons, and I'm a GIS analyst here, and I've been doing this for about 6 years, working off on site. Currently, I'm working remotely, but I'm enjoying every minute of it.
And I'm Anthony Scardino, Senior GIS Analyst with GISinc. Been here for about 3.5 years now. Was originally on Naval Station Norfolk installation with Jen there, working in a different aspect, but now working off-site.
And hi, I'm Mike Parma. I'm a technical architect here at GISinc. And I've been here about 4.5 years, working on our state and local business unit.
Great. All right. Thanks, everyone. All right. So our first topic, I thought we would talk about some of the on-site work and what it's all about. So the first question that we get is, what type of work do we do on site?
I'll take that. The type of work that we do on site is just about anything. We support almost every client that we have on the base, every tenant, every group. We have, at least at Mid-Atlantic, which that's the bases that run from Maine all the way down to North Carolina, we have people that support specifically the cadastral. They are working with the leases and the out-grants and in-grants, trying to reconcile that data. We have people that are in the Geo-Readiness Center, which is also known as the GRC, and they support modifying and rectifying or reconciling the KIP data, which is the Common Installation Picture data. We have someone that supports the Community Planning Liaison Office, which is basically planning outside of the boundary, the base boundary. And that's working with state, local, government, and the community. And then we have myself, who's in the planning group, and I support all the planners in the region. They're dealing with site planning, explosives planning, things like that. But we pretty much do everything. We do training, we do general day-to-day support, mapping, and data maintenance.
Along with that, we collecting data, and also what we do is we create the maps and also create map services for the regions too.
Great. So who does on-site support usually help?
Helps about everybody. They could go anywhere from somebody that's just trying to create a site plan to somebody that just needs information if they're going to be out in the field. Say we have somebody that's going to be doing some utility work, they can use the data to locate what they're trying to repair or install. We have people that are looking to justify the boundaries of a base. And then also there's emergency management, which we'll get into a little bit later too. But it's a whole host of people that we help.
Great. All right, so third question. So how can people on site get to view the installation data?
We have what's called the GRX, which is the Geo Readiness Viewer. It is a web-based viewer, and it's like, if anyone remembers the old ArcIMS, it's the same kind of concept. So all of the data is available for all of the regions through this viewer. Obviously, you have to be in a DoD installation or on site or using a CAC card to be able to get access to it, but it's so easy for them to get access to it, but they can use it just like they would use Google Maps. It has the means to search for facilities. There's some other basic tools that are on there, but it's just a quick, easy way for them to log on to the network and be able to view whatever data they need to see.
Great. All right. Does anyone else want to add to that, or we can move on to the next question?
I can speak a little bit about that, a little bit more about GRX. Anyhow, there's a host of tools on there that, like Jennifer was saying, you can either just view it, just the same as you would with Google Maps, but you can also, we also have tools on there where you can measure routes. If you are so inclined, you can place buffers on certain objects if you have to have a setback, for instance, and you can print your own maps off the GRX. You can put all your markups on there, and it really gives you a lot of options there for making up a personalized map.
All right, great. So do you see any potential for something like GRX to be used in other places across Fed?
I would say yes. I think there are many places where we can expand into. Besides the Navy, we've done work previously creating some viewers, sort of like GRX, with the Army, and now we are supporting the Marine Corps installations out west, which is something that Eric is working on, if you'd like to expand on that.
Sure. I can expand a little bit on that, but right now with the Marine Corps West installations, we're pretty much in the initial stages. We're trying to organize their data and set up some standard methodology for how we're going to put it all together and how it's going to be organized, so we can bring it all. So hopefully one day soon we can bring all that data together for the Marine Corps and produce something just like GRX, where we would have the online mapper and everybody can see their data. They'll organize the same, so everybody can find what they need without much trouble at all.
Awesome. All right. So let's roll into our second topic, which is we want to talk about specific projects, facilities management, and planning. So the first question we have is, what kind of ways do we use GIS data to assist with planning and facilities management efforts?
The first and most basic way would just be to figure out the optimal locations for planned facilities. So we use the data to try to find places that don't have constraints, that aren't under have some kind of issue with them. That's obviously the most basic way to use planning data. But we also tie in other data like INFADS, and INFADS is their real estate database, and it contains all kinds of information, including value. So, in replacement value. So right now there's a big effort with DoD. It is DoD wide. It's called FIRE, and it's so that they can be accountable for every facility in case there's an audit. So it's audit readiness is basically what it is, and that's a huge effort that's going on. It's been going on for some time now, and it will continue to go on until they've gotten all of the facilities rectified against the data that's in INFADS. So they're basically taking the geometric data and tying it to a record in INFADS, and then vice versa to make sure that they have a one-to-one count to maintain that data. Other ways are just to provide situational awareness of projects. There's an unbelievable amount of projects that are potentially planned, some that are funded, some never get funded, but you have to kind of know what's going to potentially happen at your installation so that you don't intrude if you're going to plan another project on top of something that's either has been funded or could be funded or is in the master plan. So there's a lot of activity that goes on to support. There's also space management. That's we're dealing with floor plans, at least at Midland. I know the other regions have done some work with that too, where they're trying to make sure they have floor plans available for every installation. And that's not just for planning, that's also for emergency management purposes too. So there's a lot of ways that we support planning and facility management through GIS data.
Great.
One of the fun projects I was part of was we worked on, there was an air show that was at Jacksonville, so we got to be able to try to map on where the aircrafts were going to be and where the booths were going to be and things like that. And that was a pretty interesting project, and it was pretty extensive, and a lot of people were very interested in it, where the traffic was going for the crowds and parking.
All right, awesome. All right, so question 2. Have we used GIS in emergency management? If so, how?
So we actually, I could take that. We actually have analysts right now stationed in 3 naval regions in the Regional Operations Center. These are centers that when, not just when something goes boom, as we like to say, but when we may be impacted by severe storms such as hurricanes, these are centers that are manned up with everyone from the actual emergency management team to FBI on the situation, and as well as air operations and ground operations. And all of these groups begin coordinating efforts into preparation or for things like storms or response to anything from active shooters to major boat fires or something like that. Not only do our GIS analysts help react, but we also help with the planning efforts. And as Paul just mentioned, our analysts have helped across many regions with things like air shows, and we don't just create data and pretty pictures, as a lot of the naval folks will call them, but really we create that situational awareness. We're able to use things that previously, before our tenure in the Operations Center, were reliant on many others. We're able to give real-time information as far as standoff distances. If there's a suspicious package, there's a lot of literature on how far, depending on what the object is, you should stand off. Saying something like 200 feet is very different than showing that on a map and in a specific location. That'll help us do things like evacuate buildings and determine which need to be evacuated, etc. So right now we have a good deal of influence in those operation centers, and also those analysts are helping to bridge gaps between our facilities and our emergency operations. So now we have those 2 groups talking to each other and really helping to do things like collaborate when it comes to making sure that floor plans are available, or making sure that knowing how many people are in a building and where that building is really important information when it comes to emergency management. So we can begin to plan as well as react.
And besides the regional operations centers that Anthony was speaking about, on a lot of sites, either now or at least in the past, we had a site analyst. And another good thing about having the site analyst there is that while the regional operations centers do the emergency management in my opinion, kind of on a high level for your major issues that come up, for the major emergencies. For some of your smaller things, such as flooding, be it from like a burst water main or construction actually hit some infrastructure that could pose a problem. For a lot of those more localized emergencies, having a site analyst really comes in handy because they're right there. They know the data. They've had their hands on it for quite some time. They can, quickly work with public works or security or the buyer from on-site and quickly turn out any maps or any products like that that they would be needing in such an emergency.
All right. Thank you, Eric. All right, so we're rolling into topic 3. And this topic has a lot to do with our recent hackathon that we did within our company.
I wonder if we may have lost Rachel there. So I guess maybe I can sort of lead into that. We just did a hackathon where we have a state and local team, which Mike and Paul will expand on, that does a lot of work with providing lots of map viewers and additional solutions. So that being said, Mike and Paul, have you seen that your clients in state and local that may be a benefit to our Fed clients?
I mentioned before I worked on the Fed side, and now I'm working on the state and local this year. And I noticed that both of our clients are looking for a way to simplify and streamline their GIS capabilities. We've noticed that you guys mentioned before, Eric, and also Anthony mentioned before that things that you're working with, utilities, emergency response. Basically, these installations are operating like a small city. Each of these similar set of business lines, planning, public works, law enforcement, and emergency, this is what really led us to think about trying to apply the ArcGIS for local government to the Fed installation. With Esri's ArcGIS for local government, in our experience, we have been successful with migrating our data to the LGIM model and applying it to web map services and applications. We have used ArcGIS for local government templates, applications, support customers, and basically to kickstart their GIS initiative.
And just to add on to that, a lot of the organizations, I think what we've seen from a state and local perspective is very similar to what we've heard from the Fed side, that a lot of the different installations or organizations are really data rich, but not necessarily able to get maximize the value out of that data because they can't get it out of their back-end GIS shops. And that was one of the ideas we had on our hackathon project, was how can we get that data out to the rest of the organization.
All right, great. Sorry I lost you guys earlier. My internet went down. So, so Mike, you were kind of explaining ArcGIS for local government? Or?
Actually, we just kind of expanded upon Paula's question as far as the parallels between Fed and,
right.
And state and local.
Okay, so my second question for you guys is, and Mike, you can tell us a little bit more about ArcGIS for local government. Can you tell us what it's usually used for?
Well, essentially, the ArcGIS for local government, starts similar to the Fed side, where you'll have SDS FIE, right, a standard data model. ArcGIS for local government starts in a similar perspective with a data model, the local government information model that Esri has developed with municipalities, across the country. So it starts with that data model, and then on top of that are both desktop applications to help maintain the data, streamline common workflows, and then on the dissemination side, web applications to make that data available to the customers or the clients of the organization, whether that be internal staff or the public. And the nice thing about that is ArcGIS for local government. You can go onto Esri's website and pull down. There's about 150 different solutions that you can pull down, freely downloadable, and they're already pre-configured against that data model. So it enables organizations to streamline their maintenance processes, be able to get more applications out to their users, both internal and external, really with a minimal amount of investment on the front end as far as application development.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. So do you think that the ArcGIS for local government solutions would require substantial customization since they weren't developed on the federal data model, which is SDS-FIE?
Yeah, that was really our question coming into the hackathon project. Several people have been kicking around the idea, that hey, installations are kind of operate similar to a small municipality. Could these be modified or configured against the SDS-FIE? Because we have certainly done that with our municipal clients. They don't always have exactly the LGIM. They expand it in different ways. So we have always, on our clients, reconfigured these applications slightly. So that's the approach we took with the ArcGIS for local government against the federal model. And certainly, I think that there is an opportunity here to take that sort of business model, create some standard applications, and allow installations to deploy them right on top of SDS-FIE. Some of these applications we found from Esri, there's obviously some gaps between the two data models, but in our preliminary project, of 24 hours, we made some pretty good progress, and we think there is promise in deploying some of those applications against SDS-FIE.
All right, awesome. So, so can you give me some examples of lessons learned or suggestions based on your recent hackathon project?
Sure. I think one thing that coming right out of the gate, we were sort of surprised we were able to make as much progress as we did. Again, the parallels between municipalities and installations kind of lend themselves to a lot of the same workflows, the different business verticals, if you will, planning, public works, utilities, law enforcement, emergency management, just kind of general reference, and special events planning, right? I mean, both municipalities and installations have those sort of workflows. So, we were able to make pretty good progress. So we think it's a conceptually, it's possible to take this sort of approach. Certainly, being able to configure apps, rather than having to develop custom apps all the time, we think it's possible to do that. And where there are gaps, one came to mind in particular was with water utilities. We were able to stand up 2 or 3 of the AG for LG water apps to enable things like, an isolation trace on the water distribution mains on a base. That depends on a geometric network, which doesn't exist in SDS-FIE. So again, we took our experience from some of our state and local clients and took the SDSFIE, wrote a script that would take the production data and create a publication copy on the fly, create a geometric network, and configure the apps to them. And lo and behold, after not much work, a few hours, we were doing isolation traces on an installation. So um, I think that sort of thing is extending the model where you need to for these apps, create a publication environment to make some of the other applications work. But yeah, we think there's a lot of promise there.
Awesome. All right, that's good to hear. So I think that is actually our last question, unless any of you guys want to add anything else. We can go ahead and close. So we didn't do any Q&A for this one. We might start doing some Q&A for future Hangouts that we do. But if you have a question about anything that we discussed today, if you just want to talk GIS, or if you just want to get in touch with someone here, you can email me personally. I would give you my email address, but it's very long because my last name is a little long and complicated. So you can email marketing@gisinc.com, and that's a good way to reach me. And I will forward any questions that you have to the appropriate people who can help you out. So we're also going to have that email address listed below once this video is on YouTube. And we are recording, so this video is going to be available for you guys to watch after the presentation, and it's going to be on our YouTube channel. And you can pass it along to anyone you think might be interested in watching some of the discussion about the topics for today. So I just want to thank all you guys for helping us out and for volunteering to put on this Google Hangout. It was a lot of fun, and I really do appreciate you guys joining us today, and all of you who are viewing today. Thanks for coming and being part of our first ever Google Hangout. So just want to thank you all, and we hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Have a good day.